Okay, this week we did a quick exercise in class where we introduced Excel by getting some data that you collected with your own sensor, combining it with data that we got from the library sensors and the Ed Hall outdoor weather station, and then I had a fairly detailed display that I was showing you, but I didn't expect you to get that completely done. The idea was just to uh, get an introduction to how this works, right? But there were some interesting questions that came up during class, and I thought I would just delve into one of them because it brings up some things that are pretty basic. So this is just optional, just something if you're interested. So this person had this data that they brought in and did the assignment with, and um, their y-axis or x-axis was showing the exact same data throughout. So why is that happening? First thing to point out, just to remind ourselves, is that Excel is a coding language. So anytime you see numbers in a cell, there's code behind it because there's different ways it could be uh, different uh, workflows that could have gotten us to that number. So for example, I can get a number into a cell by putting in an equation. If I'm in this cell and I say equals, now I'm up here in the formula bar, and I want to add this cell plus this cell, now I have a number, right? So is being controlled, that output's being controlled by this equation. Okay, so similarly, each of these, so we have this data we brought in, but it's all displayed um, using a format, which is a code. So, and it's controlled here in this number dialog. So if I open this up, I can see that we have number, which is, we can change the number of decimal places. So this is just a bunch of presets. There's currencies of different kind. We can have date or just time. So date and time or just time, percentage, etc. Uh, and then we can click on custom and see that um, there's code behind all these things. So for example, um, hours and minutes, that's going to be just, this is the way Excel would express hours and minutes. So if we were back here in time, it would be this code perhaps here. Um, okay, so there's a code behind every cell. So if I now look at the numbers, and this is just, I basically am troubleshooting here. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. First of all, let me just click on this axis here and open up this dialog, and I can see the range is 0 to 120. And I said in class, it's like these are confusing. Like, why would that be 0 to 120? I'm actually not even sure. Um, but if I come to, I notice first of all that this column is set to time, and if I click on time, well, actually, so it's set to something, some formula or some code that's within the time category. You can see it has an asterisk here. I think that might mean that it's been edited. I'm not sure. I don't know where it came from. One thing I can check though is if I go to General, I can see the underlying code. And so if the first data point is 0, if I go to the last data point and change it to General, it's about 1. If I go in the middle, like around noon, it's about it is 0.5. So I think what's going on here is that we have a range of from 0 to 1. So let me just put that in and see what happens. And we see now, yes, that we do have um, the values we want in the x-axis, but now what's happened is that we have no data. So somehow that has taken us out of range of the x-axis, of the y-axis, I'm sorry. Um, so, well, there's a couple things I want to say here. So, because first of all, I'm noticing all these decimal points. Why is that here? Um, I can, I'm clicking on this axis. I can come to number and I was just highlighting it, and somehow they did that. Go back to that. I won't highlight it again. Go to number. I can change those decimal places to 0, and that seems much more sensible now, right? Um, so the same thing here. If I click on this and I come to number, I see that I have a custom code, but it's just 0, like we were saying. The format is 0.000. So I'm not sure. So then I started wondering, well, then where did they get this column from? Um, it could be from their sensor I'd like to talk to him to ask him. I don't know. Actually, let me just do what I'm always saying we should do. I'm going to make a little bit of space here. Um, I think what's going on here is that actually all this information is not available in the way that, or that, so that Excel can read it. So I don't think it actually is a day of the week. Or I don't think there's a day here. Um, and Excel is expecting that, and it truncates that down and says, "Oh, you just want the time? I'll take just the time from your full um, uh, data set that's got the day and the year and the time." Anyway, I think that's what's going on. But so what I'm going to do is I have a data column that I was using that I got from the data on the Ed Hall weather station. I'm going to just paste it in. I'm going to delete this last one because I don't need to midnight twice. And so now I see that I have I do have a different layout here, so that's interesting if that seems to be working. But if I now come back and I check if I go to general for the first data point, I've got 45507, and down here I've got, if I click on general, I've got 455, almost oh 08. So this is the same exact layout, but it's putting it in a much larger range, right? So this 45507, I should just look it up. It's going to be the number of hours or something from the beginning of, to get to 8/3, um, so midnight on 8/3 is 4,407 somethings, right? And that then allows us to have every day coded, right? In a way that's usable by Excel. So if I come now to here to my and I to my x-axis, and I change this to 45507, and I change this to 45508. I'll change it automatically. I'm actually gonna let's get out and see what it says. What it's got here. Um, that's what we want, right? Though I don't like that I don't know why it's not stopping. It's not taking my data all the way to the edge. So I'm going to come back here again, and I'm just going to change this to 45508, which is what we saw. Just have one number, and now we see that I've filled the entire chart, because I started at the beginning of the range and went to the end, and but now I have the numbers in here. Why is that true? If I come back down to in other words, I have the code, but not what the code represents in time, and that's because I have this general category again. So if I click on that, let me come and see if I have anything in custom that I can remember. Yeah, this is that month, day, hours, minutes that I was looking at before. So if I choose that, I've got that code in here now, and this is getting to be more like what I would want, right? Um, I could also now, since I know that this this data has it, Excel knows that this is actually 45507 minutes or whatever into the year, so I can change this to whatever I want. So if I within the Excel world, so if I now come in here and say I don't want to see the day, I want to go back to time like we had in the other one. Um, and maybe let's do a custom time. I'm gonna choose this. Let's see now what I think we're back to 0 and 1 here. I'm not sure this is gonna work. Let's try it. Now 45507. Oh, because this needs to be changed. So I'll change this to maybe I might. Yeah, and there we go. So now I'm back to the format that we wanted before, but I have my data available as I expected. And then I could now continue to go in and identify, change the formatting of these as we did in class. Um, Remember that if I select data, these data sets are all here and I can edit them. Sometimes one of the problems when you're working with Excel is what we did in class to be quick about it is we selected all you know, the data we wanted in a chart and just made the chart. Sometimes that doesn't work. You can also create a chart from scratch. So if I say insert a chart. I've got a chart here, and now I can just custom generate. I can right click, select data, and then I can add data um, from scratch in here, and and that sometimes fixes problems. All right, that's the summary on this one issue. I hope it was interesting to people watching this or that it's useful. I will see you in class.